Okay.
Yo, what's up? Yo, what up? What up?
Hey everyone, welcome to Man Woman Chats. I'm Jackie, and today we have a special guest.
Yeah, what's happening? Yo, it's Coco Got Boss, aka Zaretsu Z. Alright, everybody check it out. Here with some of my best friends. Hangouts on air. Oh, it's GS350JPN. Oh, the Kansai Godfather in the house. What's happening, man?
What's up? What's up? Just a big dip in the house. So we got
Yo,
some interesting conversation.
yo, check it out. We talking to a black woman today. Alright, yo.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to
Yeah.
stand up for herself.
Yo, man.
Not saying if we're gonna attack her or not. It's not. We ain't even talking about black women, but you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, please. I'm on some prescription medicine tonight, so it's like, yo, please forgive me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
But tonight, I want to talk. A lot of people recently, I've been hearing them talk a lot about white supremacy. And I'm always thinking, why are they talking about white supremacy when there are more important things to talk about that'll help the neighborhood? And so I got into a discussion with some other people, and they're like, saying I'm not saying I'm wrong, but it's just like this white supremacy this and this and this and this. And I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with, what's going on in the hood. So anyway, we want to talk about something like that and whatever other relevant discussions or topics or whatever they come up with that.
Okay, all right.
So you want me to start or you want to start?
Go ahead, yo, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like I was saying, I hear a lot of people, my friends too, we'll be getting to like serious discussions. Someone always bring up white supremacy. But when I look at white supremacy, to me, white supremacy is nothing more than the idea that somebody created in their head, and then as they scripted out in their heads, they really didn't have any type of a equation to make it come true. Okay? And I mean an equation that actually makes it come true where they can just do it and leave it like 1 + 1 = 2. Does 1 + 1 excite you? If it doesn't excite you, then you're in trouble. 1 + 1 should excite you. So this racism that somebody thought about, it didn't have an equation where it's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's there, bam, you put it out there and you can't change it. So the only way that makes it possible to me is that people release their emotions, and then the vibrations that they have from their emotions release is going to vibrate in their body, and it's going to make them feel like that idea of racism is real to them. And basically, to me, it's just a form of mental, what is it called? Mental illness. That's what I think it is. So when a lot of people are talking about it, I'm saying, I'm looking at something else. I'm like, well, why are you guys talking about this when we need to talk about that? Because white supremacy isn't stopping us from doing these important things.
Okay, well, I think that you thinking about it from a maybe metaphysical level, where a person can, almost like that, turn the other cheek, but then it's at the same time, you kind of like putting yourself outside of yourself. Somebody else, some Japanese person was talking to me about that, something similar to that. It's like you can change your atmosphere by like smiling or something like that. You can change the outcome of certain situations by changing your attitude, and then that kind of, I don't know, that aura and all that other kind of stuff, man. I mean, really, I'm not really versed on it at this particular moment. All right, but my thing is, man, all right, well, like I was saying earlier, white supremacy does exist, and it's one of those things where you're not gonna get rid of it by ignoring it and pretending that it doesn't exist. All right, so there's too many examples of how a certain mindset that's connected or correlated to white supremacist doctrine that permeates itself in all all places in society, and yeah, we can say, okay, well, we can focus on other things, and that's true a lot of times. Yeah, that's probably true. But then again, I don't know anybody that really, uh, all the time focuses on white supremacy. Now you can arguably say that a guy like me talks about white supremacy quite a bit, but then again, I've seen a lot of things in my experience that kind of showed me that white supremacy is pretty much alive and well. Yeah, so talking about it, like I said, okay, talking about it on the one hand, having a discussion right now, it kind of offers you an opportunity to meet with other people, have a meeting of the minds and have discussion, and people can share their ideas on a particular subject. So that's how I feel about it. Yeah, white supremacy.
I also think that racism exists. I believe it as a system.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of have a question for GS, but I don't know if he's still there or not. Oh, okay. My question to you is: you said that your question was, why do people talk about white supremacy, racism, white supremacy, when there's other things that they could talk about, like fixing the hoods? Well, my question would be, well, why do the hoods need to be fixed, and how did the hoods become this way, where they are a place that needs to be fixed?
Okay, in the Bible, I'm not a Christian or anything, but in the Bible, there's this one quote that was really interesting. And it says, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge." And, well, and it's really interesting because there's a lot of people who are religious, and but I've never, well, I can't say I've never heard them say that. But the whole key to it is that in the Bible, if the word is real, then what it's saying is, in order for you to get the freedom and the peace that you want, you must study. And that goes back to my thing about saying 1 + 1 = 2. I ask a lot of people, does 1 + 1 = 2 excite you? And a lot of people say no. And I said, why? And they said, because it's boring or whatever. But I said, if you understood the importance of the number one and how it's used and what it is, then you will see the things that you can create with 1 + 1 = 2. The only reason I tell my friends, the only reason that we are affected by white racism is because we don't have the knowledge to make it insignificant. And I'm not saying to destroy. You can destroy it if you have the knowledge. You can destroy it too. But to some people, they'll just make it. They'll rise to a level to where it's insignificant, and it'll be like swatting a bee away from you, or a fly away from you. Until you just get that fly swatter and then kill it. If it keeps bothering you. But I'm saying that white supremacy is a knowledge. We lack the knowledge to make it insignificant because we talk about the Tulsa riots. And so, I got I read these old views, and now they're changing a lot of things from what I've read. But the whole thing is that if those black men, first of all, those black men and women built that town, and the white people supposed to be racist, and they saw them build this town. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if they were so racist, then why would they even let that town even get like that? To the point where it's better than them. I can't understand it. But once everything started going on, what those black men failed to do, just like all other countries that lose war fail to do, is they fail to gain the knowledge to build up defense to where whoever attacks them, that attack won't be able to they won't be able to win, and they'll have the offense to go over there and start them, destroy them, or whatever. So I'm saying, like, if those black men would have encouraged a lot of studying and developing and things like that. And let's see if they would have had some F-22 fighters. And then the whites come over there with their props. What do you think would have happened? You think those black people would just say, "Oh, okay, we got the F-22 fighters and they're on the runway. We're going to let them stay there and let the white people just bomb them"?
Yeah.
No, no. They would have gotten those F-22 fighters. They would have blew them planes out the air, and then they would have went right over to the white neighborhoods and blown them out the air for even bothering them.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that we lack the knowledge to make white racism is significant, and we need to work on that. Because even if you don't believe me or not, it don't matter. There are a lot of Christians on here. And the Bible says, "My people die because they're ignorant and lame."
Doomed for lack of knowledge. Okay, but check it out though, right? So maybe, you know what I'm saying, like, let's see, they were operating on that plane of knowledge. Okay, well, you know, white supremacy don't exist. So therefore, since white supremacy don't exist, ain't no need for us to make no defense. You know?
Okay, go ahead, finish your statement.
Well, that's basically it, man. You know, like, they didn't make any defense because, you know, hey, you know, white supremacy don't exist. So, you know, we just concentrate on making this money and, you know, making this area of town prosperous.
Okay, why did you say white supremacy doesn't exist?
No, I'm just saying, man, because, you know, like, you were saying that, you know, before, right? If we operate on a premise where, you know, racism or white supremacy, you know, does not, you know, affect us, okay? Which it obviously didn't because, you know, they were, you know, they built up the city, right? So if they operate from that premise, then then they don't need to make a defense, and maybe that's how they were thinking at the particular time.
Okay, I said that people talk about racism a lot too much. Or why are they talking about racism when they need to be focusing on other things? I never said that racism doesn't exist. I never said that there are obstacles. I never said that those things don't exist. What I'm saying is there are more important things to talk about.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. All right. The thing is, you know, if they're not focusing on that, okay, let's say, you know, they're not that it doesn't exist, okay, maybe it exists, but they weren't focusing on it. So then, by not focusing on that, you know, they were able to do something else, right? But you know, in by not focusing on it, then they were left vulnerable, right?
I. Oh, is that okay if I speak? Were you finished?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking this is that they say money makes people act strange. And as those brothers, it doesn't matter where you're from. As a person starts becoming more successful and more successful in their life, then the more they open themselves up to attack, because a lot of people don't realize that they need to keep, if you're going to build wealth, then what do you have to do? You have to be able to build something to protect it, to defend it, and to protect it. So if they were building these communities, but yet they lacked the common sense, and I'm not saying they didn't have it, but I'm just saying, lack of a better word, the common sense to also build up defense to protect what they have. Because, like, I think it was Wilmington too, when they came over there, the ones came over there, if them black people had trained their people to use weapons, if they would have had, vehicles and whatever to do that, communication systems or whatever to do those things, then they would have, if they had that ability to defend their territory, they would have done it. And so that's what I'm saying. Because from what we're reading, the whites came in, shot us some petty, some blacks shot back, but they were outgunned, so they ran away, and a lot of people got killed. And I'm thinking to myself that what happened? What is the whole lesson that we need to learn? And the lesson to me is just lack of knowledge.
If you're building a defense, don't you kind of need to know your enemy?
Why should you have to know your enemy when if you know? I think you don't. Okay. And the reason I think you don't, go ahead and finish what you're gonna say.
I was kind of finished. I was letting you talk, but I mean, if you don't need to know your enemy, then what's like? Why do people have spies? Why do spies exist if you don't need to know your enemy? Or
Because a lot of people have spies because a full out attack and war in numbers and things is not the only way to bring a person down. So there's other ways to do it. But I'm saying that if you know that you have an enemy, and it doesn't matter who, it's like um, those bugs that can go into an ant nest. I forgot what it was, and they can eat the eggs. Will go in safely, come out safely, and when the bugs bite on them, they get that fur in their mouth. Well, do you think those bugs know, study what those ants do? No. Those bugs already know what they're capable of doing and what their bodies are doing. So they know that they have the defense and the offense at the same time to walk into a nest of ants and eat those eggs at luxury.
but
And
don't
not
you
even,
kind of have to know? Like, I would say, like, okay, like in a way, don't people know about their enemies? Because like certain people, like certain countries, don't mess with each other because they know what the other countries have. Like we know they have, for example, nuclear weapons, so we're going to think twice about what we do or how we go
Yeah,
about doing it because we know they have this kind of weaponry.
yeah, yeah. And you
go
know
ahead.
what? And you know what? Another thing, man. You know what? I think it was also a situation too. I agree with Jack a little bit because look, here's the deal, man. Um, I think the another problem was that they didn't know the enemy enough because I heard a story about one person who was in the Tulsa and one man he was a soldier in the military and he was like, yo, they're not gonna shoot me. I was in the military, with these white people. So he put on his military outfit or something like that. This is a story I heard on one of these documentaries. He went outside and then they ended up shooting him anyway. Okay, so it's like sometimes it's not even a thing about knowing your enemy. Even you think you know them, you don't know them, man. You know what? And another thing is, man, look, um, Little Africa, whatever that Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? That was out of pure hatred, man. That was out of hatred and spite. Okay, because look, they had Chinatown in this country since the 1800s too, right? Chinese people have been able to like come to America. Well, they were in America before America was actually America, man. And they would have Chinatowns in almost every big city in this country, even from a long time ago, man. But you know what? White people never went. You never hear too many stories about how white people went in there and tried to blow up Chinatown and like kill everybody and just desecrate the whole place like they did black people, man. You know what I mean? And like you never hear that kind of thing about like Rosewood stories about like how the Chinatown, Little Tokyo, and stuff like that, man. It's like white people, man. It's like real, hatred, man. So like all that, man. We can go back to saying, oh yeah, let's just focus on other things and all this other kind of stuff. But I think at this point, man, it does make a degree. It makes a little bit of sense to kind of acknowledge certain things like white supremacy and all this other kind of stuff. But a lot of black people just too spiritual, not they too involved in the Christianity, man, to be involved with a bunch of metaphysical stuff, man. In my opinion, man.
Okay, what I'm saying is this. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you see, I think what a lot of people, I'm not saying a lot of people, but what I'm thinking is maybe there's this atmosphere where people really don't understand what knowledge is and why it's important to learn it and to understand it and then to be able to apply it, in execution.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, really miss the point because if you go out there and you study the plants and you study the water and the oxygen and the minerals and the math and the the metals and how they react and everything, then you'll understand that, hey, you know what? I could do something with this stuff, and this stuff is important. So when in Tulsa, like I was saying, if those guys, what I think probably would happen, this is just only my opinion. What I think would happen is they started building, and they started, and another thing too, which I want is how were they able to build those cars and build those hospitals and those homes, and where to get the materials from, how they make the nails, how they get the stethoscopes, and how they get the print papers and all of that stuff. To me, I want to really study that, because that's really what's important, was the simplicity. The whole city is a simplicity, but the complexes that built all of that. Where they get their education from and who taught them and all that stuff. So that's really intriguing to me. And that knowledge is what I'm saying that we kind of, like, a lot of us lack. So I can ask you, well, okay, well, where did they get the skills to build those cars? Where did they get the skills to fuel those cars with the gas? I'm sure white people didn't come in with their gas trucks and gave it to them and stuff like that. And, where did they get all this jewelry at, that these white people stole, and these pianos? Who made these pianos and things like that? So for me, I'm thinking like, wow, the knowledge was there, but why did it stop when they achieved economic status? Why did the knowledge stop there? And they know, and you can't say that they didn't know that racism was around. It was right there in their face, so they knew it, and they knew it. But was it possible that the economic status that they got, they kind of like saying, okay, now that we're rich, these white people will leave us alone? And maybe did they make the mistake and not understand that it didn't have nothing to do with their economic status? It didn't have nothing to do with how much money they were or what their education was. It had nothing to do with that. It was the fact that maybe those white people were bored, and they could have been rich, but they bored because from my understanding about a lot of white people, they just sit around and do nothing, and they're bored for the most of the time, and just for some excitement. I mean, because I grew up with them, so it was like, but I grew up with the rich ones. But as I started going to the military, and I started seeing the ones who didn't have money and how they acted, it was more or less like, well, I don't care about having $1 million. I just want a job. And even if they're not getting a lot of money, they just want to have a job, because maybe a job made them feel good. So I'm just thinking that those brothers and sisters in those communities, especially Tulsa, they got to the point where they thought that economics was going to be the equalizer that's going to stop white supremacy. But white supremacy is what? It's a force, and the only way you're going to stop force is with equal and with the same force, the equal and opposite force, or you want to crush it, you have to have more force. And so what I'm saying is, sure, we can talk about the white racism, and that's fine. But what is it going to do to educate the young? What is it going to do to get people on the blocks, on the one block, saying, hey, let's get together and let's teach our kids ourselves, because we already know this. So what is it? Why do we spend so much time talking about white racism when all we know is white racism is an ideology that is supported by another force behind it, and the force behind it is called weapons.
Okay, all right. Well, like I was saying before, like, I don't know too many people. Like I said, it just talk about, like, okay, yeah, white supremacy in that way. But like, if there's a specific example of something where white supremacy comes into play, then yeah, what I mean, then people talk about it. But like the discussion about, okay, like Tulsa. Wow, man, like, I heard it brought up before, what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where, like, something happened in the past, like, hey, the fucking America bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You know what I'm saying? That's something that happened in the past. Yo, we can go over like all the time. Oh, why did this happen? Why did they do that? Oh, you know, they did it because of this and that and whatever, right? Yeah, you can do that, but you know, not to dwell on it or anything like that. But I mean, you know, if my honest opinion about Tulsa, man, yeah, they did it out of, you know, hatred, man. They did it out of pure hatred, man. And that's spite, man. So that's my opinion on it, but I'm not talking about that in terms of like, you know, okay, yo, because of what they did in Tulsa, man, yo, that's holding me back. You know what I'm saying? That's not, you know, that's not my premise in life. So, you know, anyway, you know, like I choose to talk about, you know, white supremacy or whatever wherever it's relevant to the conversation. And then, you know, then after talking about it, I kind of try to discuss ways to combat that, all right, or to go against it. And you know, white supremacy, man, it's just like any other force out there, man. You know what I mean? It's like fighting the octopus, man. You know, it's just fighting an octopus. It's better to attack the head than try to cut off each and every tentacle that come at you. You know what I'm saying? You waste
That's
your
a good
time.
point. Like how you're talking about, a lot of people don't really, or at least the people you know, don't really talk about it. Because even if you look at things, like a lot of the talk doesn't come up until something happens. Like
Yeah, exactly.
we talk about it, then we kind of forget. Then something else happens, then we talk about it again. Like, you know, you had Trayvon, and we were all hyped about it.
Yeah.
Then we kind of forgot. Then Michael Brown happened, and it's like, oh yeah. So it's like it's like we're reminded of it when something happens. We kind of want to forget for the most part, or try to blend in, but you're always reminded that it's still in existence, and that's why the conversation always eventually comes back to it.
Yeah. I mean, and look, we over here in Japan, man. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, okay, like for example, now, honestly, I don't know if this happens to you, okay, but sometimes, man, you know, you in a situation where you gotta be around white people, okay, over here in Japan, all right. So now I go into a bank, okay, all the way over here in Japan, or not even a bank, man. And I want to change topic a little bit, okay? All right. I'm in Japan, going to a bank or a supermarket, right? And then you know you meet some Japanese motherfuckers, right? And then excuse my language, but anyway, you meet some Japanese people, and then you know the Japanese people, you know, talk to the white people on regular, like, oh hello, you know, how you doing, all this other kind of stuff, right? And then when they get to you, then they start, you know, dancing and stuff like, oh yeah, yo, yeah, you know, I think you dance very well, okay? So now, even though I didn't, you know, pop lock, I ain't do nothing like that, you know what I mean, have a suit, whatever, necktie on or whatever, right? Disguised, all right? Now, you said to me, okay, that based on this person's reaction. Now, I even go into a bank, Mizuho Bank, right? And then, you know, the person that's working there start doing that stuff, right? Like, start, you know, hopping around like, you know, some, you know, over exaggerated hip hop type, you know, response to a person, right? Now, not only is that not professional or anything like that, but how is it that such you know, that certain type of behavior, how does that permeate itself in a place like Japan? Okay, where, like I said, you know, the white person is, you know, greeted, you know, professionally, okay, as properly as you might say, and then you know you get to a black person and they get like, oh yeah, you know what I mean, they start acting all wild and stuff, right? Me personally, I think that has a lot to do with you know, perception and everything. You know, people's perception. But then again, you know, how you gonna say that white supremacy is not responsible for that?
Okay, you can say that, and it doesn't really even matter because you have to look at the whole thing. The Bible says that my people are ignorant, so that's why they're dying. Okay, what happened was you got to look at the war, okay? And you also got to know the past history of how people, before technology existed, how did they deal when they have war and when they have the winning side and the losing side. Now, I don't really know a lot about Asia, but from the little bit that I've read, and even in Africa too, when the winning uh, community or village win, then they get to take the women and then they all absorb into one. And so I look at it like this. If you got a country that gets beat up by another country, and then men come in there and they beat up those other men, and then the women there, what do you think the women are going to do? And then if these women happen to get violated by these men and then have kids and then raise these kids because they're not thinking that it's the kids' fault for the violation that these men did because their own men didn't have the knowledge to defend them from the attacking man, then you have to think about, well, how these people are thinking. And these people are not going to say, well, this and that and this and that, because there's going to be a lot of personal things too. Women might say, okay, well, fine, I'm with a Japanese man. A Japanese woman can say, I'm with a Japanese man, walk down the street and see a white guy, and the first thing that she's going to say in her mind, and she might think it, and whether it's true or not doesn't matter, but she's thinking like, I wonder how strong my man is. If this white dude come over there and try to take me away, would this Asian man protect me? Would he stand up and say anything? And if this guy started becoming violent to me, is he prepared? Does he have the knowledge to protect me? And not only protect me, but protect himself. And so it's this video I saw with this one thing, I forgot what country they're in, but it was two Asian women and an Asian guy and these two white guys, and the white guy is talking to this Asian girl, or her boyfriend is holding her hand, he ain't saying nothing, and then the white guy start holding on her, and the Asian guy is still holding onto the girl's hand, and next thing you know, the Asian girl's friend come over, separate the Asian man and the Asian woman's hand, and then the two white guys and the two Asian women.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, and Asian dudes watched that video and they got mad at black people for it. I saw that shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like, what do black people have to do with that, man? You know what I mean? The white dude cold took the girl. You know what I'm saying? The dude standing like he about to cry, right? I saw that, man. Yeah, and the Asian dudes is on the post, boy. Yeah, they mad at black people. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying?
And so what I'm saying is like you were saying, when they walk into the bank and they talk, I don't think it's the men who's doing all the talking stuff. It's the women, probably, since there's more women, servicing people anyway, in the banks and stuff. So when you look at white racism, and what it does, white racism is just an idea that someone wants to do, and it's their feelings that they can do it. But when you want to really say what it's down to the knowledge. Okay, it's down to knowledge.
How do you explain, like, okay, so if like, for example, with women, how would you explain there not being some kind of effect or system that's perpetuating this ideology when women are, and nowadays men too, buying like products to bleach their skins? Like here in Japan, some of the products have whitening, skin whitening agents in it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this as real so I don't have to get in trouble. Okay, so you have Japan. In the old days, they were black. They got pictures of it. Okay, so we don't have to deny that. Almost every island, the older the pictures go, almost everybody looked the same. Nappy hair, I like my
Okay, I agree. All right.
And they black. They got the thick noses and everything.
Yeah.
Then the white man come along, and he has guns or whatever, and the regular people, they have spears or whatever, and they get beat up and get taken out. Okay, then the women are there, left alone. Okay? Then they are impregnated, and then they have their kids. And then their kids mother tells them what happened. Why is he my dad? Why they look different? She said, oh, well, because you're the guy who I was married with didn't have enough defense to stop these people from coming, so they got taken out. And then he said, oh, okay, so what am I supposed to do? And then she'll say, well, you got to look at him like this. The guy I was married with, I guess he just wasn't man enough to, hold his own. So that's your father. So then if the blood is from the man, then when these Japanese people, when they come along and they got this, they butts disappear and, they features change and they get light and stuff, then they can say we're white. And they can say we're white because of the father who started the first lightning of them.
Okay, all right. So,
Well, let me have, because I don't want to leave it off like that. But when you come out here and you look at these Japanese people, you can still see the blacking, the lips, the fleshiness of the nose. Some people might have a long, tender nose, a long, slender nose, but on the outside, it'll be fleshy. They got thick lips. You see that all the time, especially the older Japanese women. The younger Japanese women.